Alright, so I got actually a tournament match that I did on Pokemon Showdown. Someone was just hosting an OU tourney, so I decided to join, and this was round one. So here we go. So he starts off with the Ninetales, and I start with Ferrothorn. So he obviously has a Sun team. I do not want to take a flamethrower to the face, so I switch to Chandulure to get the Flash Fire on the Will-O-Wisp. So I go for Shadow Ball because I can't really flamethrower, Ninetales or pretty much anything else other on his team except for, also this Venusaur. But I'm stuck in Shadow Ball, so I switch back into Ferrothorn, and he probably predicted a switch there, doing Leech Seed. But I decided to stay in, and I figured, you know what, I could probably take a flamethrower, hopefully. Well, actually, not really, because it's in the sun. What am I talking about? Anyway, I stay in, which is a risky move, and I get my rocks up, which proved to be crucial, as you can see. So I do a T-Wave, because I'm a Ferrothorn, and I can do that. And I go back into Chandler, because I know I can take hits from Venusaur, and he knows that too. And I over-predicted here. I knew he was probably going to switch into Arcanine, but it was just a wrong prediction. So I went to Keldeo to scare him off of his Arcanine, and I went and did Secret Sword because I knew Water Move wouldn't do anything. And so then I go into Latios because I know he'd probably go for a Grass move, and Latios takes that like a champ. And so he sleep powders me, and I'm like, well, damn. I could probably take hits from this guy though. So I decided to stay in, even though he leech seeded me. He missed the first time, which is awesome. So I think I was asleep for like 4 turns or something like that. So I finally woke up and I hit a psychic. And again, I didn't want to over predict and make a stupid move or whatever, so I just went for the psychic again. But he made a good prediction and switches into Bronzong, and takes that psychic like a monster. And so now I'm gonna switch, and I go into Ferrothorn, and he sets up a Stealth Box, and I Leech Seed him. Because it's pretty much all Ferrothorn does is just Leech Seed and T-Wave stuff. And on the switch, I get Ninetales Paralyzed, which was absolutely great. And so I go into Chandler to get the Flash Fire again. It's not like I'm going to use any fire moves. He has Arcanine, so you can just switch into that any other time. So I knew he was going to go into Arcanine again, so I went for Hidden Power. And I'm using Hidden Power fighting. That's why it's not really doing that much. And we're like in this Morning Sun Hidden Power battle right here. Until we both end up switching. And right here, yeah. So he switches into Needle King, and I'm gonna go into Keldeo. It was just a coincidence that I went into my Keldeo, but I switched out, and I go into Latios, and he gets a crit on the Thunderbolt, which sucks. And so I go into Haxorus, and he knows Ice Beam, and I knew Needle King could learn Ice Beam, but I didn't think he would have it. So I go back into Keldeo again, and I surf, and I'm realizing I could have done that in the first place to get all that damage. But he thundered me. Since it's in the sun, it doesn't do that much, and he kills me with a Thunderbolt. I go into Chandler, and I didn't want to go for Flamethrower, so I went for Shadow Ball. And since I'm stuck in Shadow Ball, I have to switch, and I go into Breloom. And Breloom is such a beast. I mean, if you have the right moveset with Breloom, I mean, you could really excel using Bloom, especially with the Toxic Heal. It's just awesome. So I go for a Bulk Cut because he was asleep, and I predicted that switch. And I go for a Drain Punch, and it almost knocks out Ninetales. I thought it would have, but it didn't. And then I thought he would switch, and he does. So I actually went for another Bulk Up. Actually, oh no, I went for a Drain Punch. My bad. Tricked you there. But I predicted him to switch. This time I go for the Bulk Up, right? Yeah. And for whatever reason, I stood in and thought maybe... I don't know what I was thinking. The Flare Blitz absolutely annihilated me. So I go into Chandler, and this is where things get awesome for me. As he goes into Rhyperior, which is going to go down to a Flamethrower. And now I'm stuck in Flamethrower. He knows that because I'm Scarfed. But the rocks take out Arcanine, which is great. Flamethrower is gonna own this Bronzong. He goes into Ninetales, and Ninetales dies from rocks. And I'm Scarfed, so I'll be able to outspeed Nidoking. And Nidoking goes down, and he literally just lost all his entire team in like 10 seconds. So I moved on to the next round, and yeah, it was a good battle.